producer. What's it like wearing
Not
all
necessarily in
those hats?
that order.
What's it like wearing all those hats?
Can you hear? Oh, can we turn them up? Is that possible? Or should I just use my theater training?
We're good? Yeah?
All right. Well, it was actually, by the time we got to the set, it was quite daunting, and because I thought, oh God, now I have to deliver this, you know. But it was also quite thrilling that I would have input on every level. I wasn't just showing up on a film set and doing my bit, playing my part. So, you know, in the casting of the actors and finding the right adapter, the right writer, Bob Martin, all of that, to be on the ground floor and to have a say. And I remember having a meeting after I'd picked Bob Martin to do the adaptation, and Don McKellar to play my husband and direct it and co-produce it with me. And we were sitting down and they were talking about ideas. And our producer at Rhombus Media, Neve Fishman, said to me, just relax, everything's going to be fine, you're in fantastic hands with these two guys. And I said, well, that's great, but this is a story about a woman at a certain age, and I happen to be a woman of a certain age, and you might want to listen to a few things that I have to say. And they went, oh, right, yeah, okay, you want to get involved? I said, oh, yeah, I actually do, yeah. And then became a process. I felt like they were riding a tandem bike, and I was running behind them for a period of time, and then I literally got in front of them and said, stop! We can do this together. And that was a really good moment because we sort of joined forces. And I got to go into the writer's room and suggest things. In the original, Davina doesn't talk to herself. She talks to a male ideal, which is supposed to be Robert Redford in his 80s, who's someone that Davina, you know, aspired to be with, a man like that. And I thought, well, that was pretty limiting, and we couldn't get Robert Redford, shockingly. Then we rewrote it for Richard Gere, and we couldn't get Richard Gere. And I thought, we were in the writer's room, and I said, well, wait a minute, why doesn't Davina talk to Davina? Because I'm available, and we don't have to pay me any more money. And they said, okay, all right, yeah. And then it became this wonderful device with the delusions, the first delusion for Davina to say, hey, there's another part of you in Davina saying something's wrong, and we need to find out the answer. So it was really exciting to have my creativity not just as a performer, but as someone, you know, telling the story on many different levels.
And you've increasingly turned to theatre in recent years. Is that a reflection of a dearth of roles? Is it the case that you basically have to develop the roles for yourself?
Well, Sensitive Skin is a story that I wanted to tell. It was also a good part. So it was twofold. And it was, again, reflecting things that I was questioning in my life and experiencing, which made it much more of an enriching experience. After Sex and the City, I realized that in America, they saw Sex and the City as who I was. And part of that was a compliment, I guess, because I played it convincingly. The other side was I thought this is really limiting because I felt that with the ensemble cast and the writers that we had and producers that we had and directors we had, you know, that I couldn't really do that any better than I'd done it. And I felt that we had gone to so many different places with Samantha, especially orgasmically. And thank you. I like this kind of compliments. And I just sort of felt, well, we've gone where no woman has gone before on television. Where do we go now? So I started saying no, which was a position of great privilege. And as a woman my age, to say no to work, and to good work, and you know, with great rewards, not just financial. And I just felt, no, I need to go home. And there was some personal challenges. My father was diagnosed with dementia, which was a huge loss. And I started to really think I need to go home. And it wasn't just a location, it was sort of a place, and listening to really my instincts, I guess, that said there's another route. And I had always wanted to, my start was in the theater, as many actors, and I have training in the theater, and I thought, I need to go back to that home too. And immediately, Peter Hall had wanted me to come to the West End and do a play there. And because I had done a play with the National Theatre in New York with Ian McKellen. And he had kept in touch and said, I think now is the time. And he sent me a script about a woman, it was originally written for a man, of a play called Whose Life Is It Anyway?, which is the story of the protagonist has been in a massive car accident and can't feel anything from the neck down. So I thought, wow, that's a challenge. But it's still very sexual and very alive, but can't move, and decides that her life was not worth living. So she decides to want to take her own life, but no one will help her. So she decides to take it to the courts to die with dignity and die while she still is, capable of making that decision. So it's a very political, controversial play that Tom Conti did and Richard Dreyfuss did as a film. And we put a female in the bed in the form of me. And it was a fantastic experience and was a big hit. And it sort of left its mark. And since then I've done a lot of theater in the West End and on Broadway, and I continue to do so. Because first of all, the roles are beautifully written. I mean, you can't get much better than Shakespeare's Cleopatra. It's one of the greatest roles ever written for a woman. So I feel this great challenge is there still for me. And again, really wonderful writing.
There's a really interesting contrast here because the women of Sex and the City generally are very visible, shall we say, and very audible. And the thing about Sensitive Skin is that it's the sensation of being a woman and suddenly feeling invisible and suddenly wanting to be seen. And I found that really poignant watching it, and I presume that was something that was important to get across in the script and in that long gestational development of the script.
Yes, it was. It really was. I felt that Hugo Blick had given us such a tremendous roadmap to tell this story, but we really had to make it our own. If you watch the British version of The Office, which is brilliant, and then watch the American, it's also brilliant, but it's different. It has to be adapted, and that's the most difficult process. Also, Sensitive Skin was written in 2005, and now making it all these years later, things have changed. I mean, people's idea of change for a woman, the change, menopause, they're shifting gradually.
And you were telling me before a really interesting thing about the psychogeography of the series, because it's set in parts of Toronto that are almost all these kind of new condos and things that are almost going through midlife crisis.
Yes, they are.
They sort of match the protagonist's life.
Yes, it does. I mean, all of those signs that you see throughout the series of these condos going up for sale, we didn't have to pay a penny for them because they really do exist. And the city of Toronto, it has beautiful architecture, very Victorian, provincial in its way, but there's areas of it that I thought, wow, this didn't exist 10 years ago.